Wine is fun. You don't have to go out and study for years to become a master sommelier to enjoy a glass of wine. At the same time, there are 5 things that people do all the time that if you avoid them, your next glass of wine will be that much better. One mistake people make when it comes to storing wine is they store it in a place where it's going to be too warm or get too much light from the sun. You don't need a wine fridge to store your wine, but what you do not want to do is store it on a windowsill. And you really don't want to store it on top of your fridge, which a lot of people do for some reason, I guess because of convenience. But the truth is fridges vent heat up the back of the fridge. Best places to store wine: an interior closet that's dark and cool. You can store it in a basement. I store my wine in a temperature-controlled vault guarded by tigers, but I don't suggest that for everybody. Once upon a time, screw caps meant cheap, bottom-of-the-shelf, horrible wine. That's just not the case anymore. These days, screw caps are used actually from wine ranging anywhere from $10, $12 affordable, perfectly good wine like this to $60 top of the line, some of the best wine in Australia. Screw caps no longer have that stigma associated with them, and they make a kind of a cool sound when you open the bottle too. There's kind of one big mistake that people make when it comes to holding a wine glass. No matter what you're doing, if your hand is on the bowl of the glass, what you're doing is warming up the wine with your hand to body temperature. Warm wine is gross. There's a reason there's a stem here. It's to hold the glass with. In this way, you can hold the glass, you can swirl the wine like a true wine professional if you feel like it. But the main thing is you're not warming up the wine with your body temperature, which is a very, very key thing. So one thing we all tend to do is serve white wines way too cold and serve red wines too warm. The reason for this is that white wines, like this one, we typically pull straight out of the fridge. We pour it in a glass. Then what happens when you get wine that is that cold is it loses aroma, it loses flavor. You can't actually taste much when it's that cold. And you can see that coming out of the fridge, this is so cold, it's actually producing condensation on the outside of the glass. With white wines, what I suggest doing is pull them out of the fridge about 30 minutes before you serve them. This is the other case. We tend to think, red wines, we should serve them at room temperature. Most of our rooms in the US, let's say, we keep it 72 degrees. That's a little warm for red wine. What you want to do actually is bring it down to about 65, throw the bottle of red wine in the fridge for 30 minutes before you serve it, pull it out, pour it. It'll be a little bit under room temperature. The wine will be more refreshing. The flavors will be more intensified. It'll be brighter. Trust me, it will make for a better experience. One common misconception, like a biting misconception about wine, is that legs, which are the little drips that happen when you swirl wine around the inside of the glass, have something to do with the quality of the wine. It's just not true. What those drips have to do with is the alcohol content and potentially the sugar content if it's a sweet wine, and that's it. You get a nice light red wine like this, you swirl it in the glass, the little drips on the inside are fairly fast moving and thin. If you get a high alcohol port like this at 19% alcohol with residual sugar, you swirl it in the inside of the glass, you get these thick, viscous, slow-moving legs. It doesn't have anything to do with how good the wine is. Legs, not important at all. Stop worrying about them. Just drink the wine and